everybody, and welcome again to TableTakes. I'm your host, Bonze, and I'm joined here by Emma, Christian, and Derek. Just coming to you on, what is this? What is the time now? Is it August? It's August 7th, right? Yes.
Yes, 2022.
Oh, 2022. Sorry, time doesn't exist anymore in the year 2020. But I mean, Christian, you look very, very handsome today.
Thanks. I got a little taken off the everywhere. So,
how was that experience?
Yeah, I hadn't ever experienced sunburn on the top of my scalp before, so I'm going for that this week. That's my life goal.
Very, very, very.
Getting it done.
Getting it done. 2020, getting it done. Hopefully, is it done? No, not yet. But yes, but yeah, we are still money folks. Sorry, we're still recovering because of course last week was Gen Con. Now though, Derek, since you've had a week to recover, you now have to show us the bestest thing you've earned in your whole entire lifetime. You're saying that it's just the most prized possession you own now.
Y'all ready for this?
Yes.
I'm not ready.
In case it is not clear, it is intended to be a mug.
Intended.
But it does not fit. It has no place to really put your lips. Does not fit cans. So we have just used it to hold the ibuprofen.
Nice.
Although I do like Emma's suggestion that they should have drilled a hole here so you can just smooch on Wolverine when you need to get your beverages.
That mug looks like it's probably the best there is at what it does. But what it does is pretty.
Yeah, what it does is what it does is pour stuff all over yourself.
Yeah,
basically.
although I liked your suggestion about you didn't want to smooch the Wolverine because it's making the face that Wolverine makes when he sees Stray and Scott.
I mean, would it be better to drill nose holes so you just like suck the boogers out of his nose?
Okay, we're all talking about romance and feelings, and you're like, drink his boogers. So I think we know who this mug was designed for.
Look, everyone has their own types of romance, okay? Don't judge anyone for their
I'm just gonna say right now, Bonsai, please don't drink my boogers. Gonna put that out there.
Duly
anyway, my wife my wife went on an eBay vintage mug purchasing spree.
That's
because apparently
right.
Because like her favorite mug got broken. We haven't fixed it yet. So she went and got like an Alf mug. And she was like, you told me you like Alf. Look, I got you a mug. And I was like, I do. You should. No, you probably shouldn't watch it. Don't worry about it. Anyway.
Nobody should watch Alf.
I loved Alf so much when
so did I, but 8. I went back and now I know better.
You can never go back.
Some things do not survive.
Ooh.
Some things do. Greatest American Hero. Still good.
Yeah, speaking of X-Men, because we were talking about it, I said I was been watching the X-Men 90s cartoon recently, and there's some stuff there, but it holds up for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so by the old cartoon standards, then, who is your favorite?
X-Men?
Yes.
I mean, I want it to be Jubilee, Derek.
Jubilee's real good. She's real good.
Yeah, but in the cartoon...
Not on that show.
Not on that show.
Yeah. Again,
the Wesley Crusher of the X-Men.
Right. She's like, she seems really cool, but then when it comes down to it, it's like sparkles. I mean, Storm though really shines through as like the OP character there, so I really appreciate.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, as far as charm goes, you got to go with Gambit if it's the cartoon.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
And that terrible accent.
I know. I can't. I'm
and he's always walking the line, Shell. Just awesome. I love him.
Yeah, like I don't think I actually watched a lot of the cartoon. Like I know I watch episodes here and there, but like it's hard for me to separate the cartoon out from just the comic book when I was reading at the time.
Okay.
So I don't really remember the cartoon characters as their own thing. Like I think I'm contractually obligated to just pick Wolverine as my favorite.
Yeah,
but aside from that, I don't know. I barely remember a lot of them. I remember the opening. I remember the memes that have been made from Wolverine's like sadly staring at a picture frame kind of stuff. But like it's hard for me to separate out a lot of those characters because there's Wolverine, and then part of his joy is how much you dislike Cyclops and how Jean Grey is there
always falling.
No. Yeah, but then like Gambit and Rogue are a real hard like tragic romance not to like. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there.
Rogue has like the best worst power ever.
Yeah,
and she can't keep away from the boys.
Rogue is cool, and as someone who grew up on the live action movies, that was my only exposure to X-Men in the beginning, and that was the most jarring. Like the representations are all like, wow, this is very different.
Well, so the
character though.
The crazy thing about that too was like when those X-Men movies first came out, it was very much like we ate it up because we were like, oh, this is amazing. This is what superhero movies could be before we got like, the new Batman movies or the MCU and whatnot.
Yeah.
And going back, like they do not hold up at all.
X2 is still good.
Storm is still Bay.
I will say, like, Colossus has always been a favorite of mine. Like,
Colossus.
Like, it hasn't had a lot of showing, but the character, I especially like the cartoon one. I will say Juggernaut was the biggest disappointment from the movies. Like, I like the live action movie Juggernaut better. Like, the whole,
but how his parents feel.
I mean, in the cartoons, he just has a big hat and then punches stuff. Like, that is one
Welcome to the comics.
There you go.
One thing about
the gem of Sidorak only can do so much.
All punching and sparkles. Punching and different types of light. Those are the only real powers that most of the characters have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's not untrue. So if you like Colossus as a secret surprise to lure you into reading more comics, if you at all like Colossus and you like the romance that Rogue and Gambit shared, Colossus and Kitty Pryde have a remarkably like really touching. Like Colossus has a great backstory. His sister comes up. She's weird, but Colossus and Kitty Pryde have these really, really like touching moments, and I think they use their relationship a lot to like talk about heroism and like what it really means to be a hero and stuff like that. Really good stuff. Really neat stuff.
Nice.
Very cool.
Really based on the fact that they've been through some things together.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
friendships.
Oh man, but yeah, I think for me, I've just been binging the Umbrella Academy again. That's going through that. It's very different from the comic books.
Is it good
in a lot of ways?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's good.
Because like I saw the trailers and I was like, as an X-Men fan, I feel like I should like this, but I haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
It's like X-Men, and then they also realize how messed up being taken in by a really rich dude who doesn't really care that much about them means.
Sounds perfect for me. So it's grimdark X-Men. Love it. I'm all in.
Nice.
But yeah, and then also playing Fall Guys, which is basically what is called that old Japanese show, the Takashi's Castle, or not Takashi's Castle, what is it called?
Takeshi's Castle?
Yes. The really random one. It's essentially a video game that is that with drunk baby physics. So it's good.
Yeah, I've seen that has swept the internet.
Yeah, Fall Guys is fun. I will say, because I'd watched it on stream a little bit, I was excited for it. I wish that they leaned a little less into the dexterity elements of it, especially for the first round, because there's so many cool levels of like I go back and forth with controller. I don't have a history of playing games with a controller. I'm okay with stuff better than I used to be, but there's so many cool ones. It's just like a team. You're all playing soccer together, and I want to get to that. But to get to the cool soccer tag parts, you have to run through a gauntlet, and it's very hard. Only 50% of the people make it. So I'm like, I want to play this part, but I have to get better at this part. And yeah, I hope that maybe in the future there's different options.
You could just play the part you want. But yeah, drunk baby physics is like you get a controller. It's like you ever play games where you have the controller, but it's always wiggling? Like you have to constantly think about how your character moves around.
Oh no, I figured that those were just broken video games. Why would I play that? I want the thing to go where it's supposed to go when I push the button. The way...
This is a different kind of game.
So, Christian, for the kids these days, there's a whole new category of games that are just difficult to play. Like that is
difficult to
game.
play is the game category, and we're like I like to call it drunk baby physics.
Like Master Blaster. Yeah, I'm in.
Have you all played Octodad? Have we not talked about Octodad?
Oh yeah, I played Octodad and Deputy Dangle and all those.
Christian and Emma, have you two played Octodad?
No, I don't know if I would even look at a game called Deputy Dangle and think that I would want to play.
I watched Phil play. It looked a little too, and again with those things, there's a level of skill, even with those like weird physics games. If you don't have a certain level of skill, it can be worse. Like it's not
like Goat Simulator.
Well, so what I would say is that in for most of Octodad,
Goat Simulator,
the more difficult it is, the more fun it is. Just because it just is just dumber and more ridiculous. There's a couple levels where you're like, "Are you kidding me? I not only have to do this difficulty, I have to do it well." But in most cases, you just kind of mess around when things go flying. But that game is absolutely great to play with 4 people. I don't know if you've seen this mode where. Basically, it's an octopus who's pretending to be a dad, and he's got a good thing going. No one suspects a thing, and he just has to live out his normal life. But he's an octopus, so normal human things are difficult for him. And you can assign a different limb to each player. The especially fun mode. So, like, I would be an arm, Bonsai's an arm. Each of you are a leg, and we all have to work together to get this guy to pour milk in his coffee in the morning. And like that's the game.
I like that. That sounds fun.
Game.
But like one of the really fun ways to do it is it can every time you achieve a checkpoint objective, it randomizes what limb you are and changes it. So just when you thought you figured out how the leg works, you become an arm. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a great co-op game. Nellie and I played it for our wedding vows at Gen Con the year that we got married. It's very, very cute. Very cute.
Yes,
that's an option. That's a thing you can do. Interesting.
Play video games.
Well, like the first level is he has to get to his own wedding.
Right. Yeah.
Put the ring on her finger. So
that's perfect. I love it.
So it's an ordeal.
Like it. That's really cute.
And I assume there's no water path.
No.
See, that would make it too easy.
No. Easy, no. But yes, that was basically catching up. Well, we got off on a tangent because video games. It's like, oh my goodness, guys! I think are we nerds? Video
Honestly,
games?
for me, this could just be the show, and I'd be all right.
Oh yeah, rant about video games. But yeah, but speaking of which, we got a whole bunch of new release games just coming out, and Christian, you're gonna go ahead and take us through the lightning round.
Oh, such responsibility, Bonsai. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm glad that I could be here to do this. So yeah, this is a whole bunch of headlines that we decided don't need to be a headline, several headlines, but just one. There's a whole bunch of new games coming out. I know what you're thinking. How could they possibly be producing new games? It's because we're all at home. That's why. So last week you may have seen me jump up and down and squee like a little girl about the X-Men Mutant Insurrection that's coming out. So I'm still excited about that. But it's not the only thing that was announced. Twilight Imperium is getting out a brand new expansion in Prophecy of Kings, which means that now you can play with up to 8 people, and you need to make a much larger table.
Yeah.
Huge table.
So if you buy your table specifically to be just the right size for Twilight Imperium,
no longer.
Nope.
That's right. Add a leaf.
Now you need a whole ballroom to have your Twilight Imperium game.
Yeah.
New house.
And the new expansions are not going to make it easier to play. They didn't come out and say that, but I just know.
I don't think easy to play is Twilight Imperium's goal. That is definitely a let's experience this game today game. And I think like when we were going over the headlines earlier, my first thought was like, how long until we get the multi-room game? Where like, okay, this room will have this board and this other room will have this other board, and we'll all just kind of get up and rotate as we need to do our turns.
Yeah. Leave it to Derek to turn board gaming into LARPing.
Where is that line? We got to find the line. Go up to it. Don't cross it.
He just created it and drew it in the sand.
No, so what's even better is Jason Morningstar absolutely has an amazing hybrid board game LARP, where you basically tape the board down on the floor, and then you play LARP. And when you deploy your units, you just take a piece of paper out of your envelope and you put it down on the, like, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That actually sounds kind of fun. Damn it, Morningstar, you've done it again. In addition to those two, we've also got Classic Seven Wonders getting a new edition, which we talked about briefly before, and Seven Wonders Duel is getting an expansion. So Seven Wonders,
for Emma,
which I believe all are going to have a lot to look forward to in the next several months.
I gotta play the old expansion, the old new expansion. It's bringing up my wall of shames. So I'm like, oh, I bought the expansion. I haven't played that yet. So I got to play the old expansion so that I can get the new expansion, or just get the new expansion and don't play either of them.
Emma, I appreciate that you were nice enough to call it a wall of shame, which is absolutely the world that I live in, as opposed to a pile of shame. It is 100% a wall of shame.
Where I live.
My house is built of walls of shame.
And my chair is sitting upon piles of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have several as well.
Well, that was our Con Marie. Like, for our Con Marie, we got rid of the piles, so now it's been reduced to walls.
Nice. So, yes, I said Classic Seven Wonders and Seven Wonders Duels, both getting expansions. Santorini, New York, a follow-up to the very successful game Santorini.
She's not laughing at you.
No. This is like saying it's Paris, Sacramento. Like, what game are you playing? Paris, Sacramento. What is that?
Like, isn't that the name of a city?
Yeah, it's the name of a city and an island.
But isn't there a Paris, New York?
There's a Paris city in the state of New York.
Isn't there also an Egypt in the south? Mississippi?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, it sounds
or
like
Cairo. There's a Cairo in
some new address and not the name of a board game.
Emma, it's called branding, okay? So when you release Abandon All Artichokes Carrots Edition, and it's just about carrots instead, just because you want to leverage that sweet Abandon All Artichokes awareness that you've gotten out there.
But that makes sense.
No, but you're
on the other hand,
this is different vegetable. No, sorry. Go ahead.
This week we're playing Puerto Rico, Oslo, Norway edition.
There.
See? That sounds great.
So that's coming out. I don't know anything about Santorini. Have you played it, Emma?
Yeah. Santorini is actually a really cool game. It's weird because there's two modes. There's the abstract strategy one, which is actually very clever and elegant, very simple. You're basically trying to build or get your piece to the top of the highest building, and you're building buildings a floor at a time. So there's like a bottom floor, middle floor, and if you move and place a piece, I believe. And then people can cap off, so you can't just jump up, and you can't jump from the bottom to the top. You have to kind of work your way up. So it's this back and forth, just placement of towers, and it plays pretty quick, pretty fun, easy to teach, easy to learn. It's a 2-player game, best at 2 players.
So it's like Santorini, but now the buildings are taller and there's muggings.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, like it is a very classic game. It's kind of renowned for having that abstract mode that's really accessible and is good for like families and whatnot. And then having the more complex mode where like you add god powers and stuff, and a little more like quote unquote like gamery version. But it's a very well received game. I played it a couple times. It does like not in a dismissive way, but I would almost kind of describe it as like a 3D tic-tac-toe in a certain way, because you have to watch what your opponent is doing because they're building their path to victory. You have to stop them while building your own, while not making it easier for them to use your path. Like there's a lot of neat elements to it, but it absolutely could just be abstracted out to just completely different pieces. So moving the theme to other locations seems not super weird to me.
I do also kind of have a soft spot for modern day Greek gods who are living as people. Like there's a few fictional universes of that, right? So if they do take it all the way and have, Zeus be like a underground club owner or something, then
what's the name of that young adult series, like Jimmy Poseidon or something like that?
Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Poseidon.
I mean, not that I read that crap, but I've got all of them.
First easy.
Yeah. All right. I want to read this Jimmy Poseidon series. See how it goes.
Jimmy Poseidon. Hey, it's me, Jimmy Poseidon. Sorry. Wait, sorry.
All right. What's next?
Tommy
What else do we
tried
got,
it.
Christian?
Yeah.
4 out of 5 dentists. Good
What else
stuff.
we got, Christian?
Tutankhamun, a new edition of the game Tutankhamun.
I think it's on Kickstarter now, actually.
Yeah.
Should be ending soon, I think.
Yeah, no, it's basically the game you remember, but it's updated.
Mm-hmm. And that's a Rainier Knizia classic, I believe.
Yes. Yes, it is. And yes, it is on Kickstarter now. Look at that.
Oh, cool.
I know very little about that game, but it does not star Jimmy Poseidon, so I'm less excited about it.
And now we need to do
Jimmy
it.
Poseidon's all hot. It's a big IP these days.
So there you go.
Go
There is several, that is to say, 6 games that we've announced for the new releases this week. It's exciting. Go check these games out if there are games that you are interested in, or if they're games that you just like the name of or the art on the box. Go ahead and check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a few other kind of quick announcements to go through too that we were kind of disparate sources, because a lot of those were covered or kind of collected in a Shut Up and Sit Down article recently.
Yeah.
A few other ones that have been announced over the past couple of weeks that may have gotten lost in the deluge of news that have been coming out includes the Dragon Prince show from Netflix. That's from one of the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I believe. I know a lot of people really love that show. That's getting an RPG adaptation using the Cortex rules that were kickstarted, I think, last year, the year before. Cortex was used in like Marvel Heroic role playing. It was very neat. Yeah. Leverage, I believe.
Bank had a lot to do with that one. It's a good system too. It works.
Yep. So I don't know if Cam is directly working on this, but it's using. I'm pretty sure it's using the most recent version that he kickstarted and is releasing shortly. So there's like a trailer for it, not a whole lot of details yet, but it's also very exciting that I believe it's being released by Fandom or in conjunction with Fandom, which is the parent company of D&D Beyond now. So I'm certainly hoping that we'll see some sort of really cool character creator come out of that.
Ooh,
that would be nice. They have, they definitely have the skeleton to get that done, don't they?
Speaking of D&D, there's a D&D version of the Great Dalmuti, which is one of those really old, like classic hobby games. So if you have never played it, kind of heard about it, and now you want an excuse to go pick it up because it has some fantasy monsters on the cover, apparently they got you covered.
it's only $15. Am I correct? Yes.
That's what it looks like.
$15.
Over the weekend, Fantasy Flight announced that the Clone Wars, or the Clone Army, I guess, is going to be a new separate faction for their Star Wars Armada game. I think they'd released some of the clone models for the figure, like the ground warfare, but I guess they hadn't entered into the space combat version yet. Darkest Dungeon, if anybody's played that video game,
it's so hard.
Yeah.
There's no joy, there's no happiness, there's only death.
Grimdark.
Well, now you can bring that experience to your table at home because the board game's coming out, and they released pictures of what the miniatures look like. And one of the things that always struck me with Darkest Dungeons is that really evocative art style. Very, very thick lines, black lines,
it's
very
ink.
Comic booky.
Yeah,
very, very cool stuff. So I think they did a very good job with the miniatures, kind of capturing that feel.
It's actually really good. I like how they did the paint job and everything, but it also just makes me think of sadness when I look at these characters. So
sad memories
because I got so close, but then my whole first better team and my second backup team died in one dungeon. Sorry. Speaking
of comic book stuff, Hellboy is getting another RPG. I think it had a license way back when. It might have been Big Eye Small Mouth. I'm not sure. But anyway,
we talked about this. Was it role playing or was it the board game?
We talked about the board game.
Okay.
And they're both coming out from the same company, I believe, because it's Mantic releasing the RPG as well. But this time, the RPG is using D&D 5th edition rules. So Yeah, so if you love Hellboy, but you are not the kind of person who likes learning new rules or has the time or whatever,
Here's the rules you already know.
Yep, chances are high.
Yep.
L5R is getting a bunch of new stuff, both the RPG and the card game. So the RPG is getting a book about warfare that's going to cover the Lion Clan and stuff like that. Apparently, it has a bunch of rules in there that might allow you to make your own schools in the game, which if you've played the game a lot, like those are you build a kind of special power philosophy. So giving some people some customization for that is kind of open up like homebrew clans, I think, a lot. And then the card game is getting this whole new cycle called Twisted Loyalties, which I haven't had time to dig into yet, but all the reaction I've seen to it is people concluding that the Scorpion Clan coup that happened in the old timeline is actually going to happen now as well, which I have my fingers crossed they will do something new and different and interesting with. And then some of you who are on Twitch or YouTube a lot might be familiar with Matt Colville. I think we've covered a couple of his Kickstarters and stuff like that. His company, MCDM Productions, is going to start releasing a D&D magazine using the name Arcadia with James Introcaso, who, if anybody isn't familiar, is a very prominent kind of independent creator for a lot of D&D content. Very well respected. Has done a lot of organized play stuff, I believe. So he's heading up the actual magazine. I guess they're going to release 3 issues digitally and then kind of reassess what they're going to do with it. And I know that a lot of...
Explain to me magazine.
Did you ever see issues of Dragon or anything like that? No, never? So like it's a weird thing that I feel like modern D&D fans, people who came in with 5th edition, or even people who came in with 4th edition to a certain extent, may not realize, I think, how big Dragon Magazine was to a lot of the established fans back in the day, because that was like a regular
there was like
dose
two
of
different
something.
Two different ones. One is for players and one is for a DM's guide.
Yep, there was Dragon Magazine, which was for players and was general rules and news and interviews and facts and stuff like that. And then there was
new items, stories about the table, comics.
Yep.
And then there was Dungeon, that was a collection of like a couple adventures. So like that's how a lot of people engage with D&D, is you would just subscribe to those and you get those, and that would kind of keep you going as you were waiting for some new release or something like that. That's also how a lot of people found out about a wider hobby market, because other people would advertise in there. Like the number of times I hear that people say that they have wanted to go to Gen Con ever since they saw it in Dragon when they were young. It's ridiculous, basically. So Dragon kind of fell off in 4th edition, because I think in 3rd edition near the end, Paizo had the license to make Dragon, and then when they went to 4th, WotC pulled that from Paizo, and that was part of the motivation for Paizo to make Pathfinder. Like, it's kind of weird how instrumental or how important Dragon was. So I think, I suspect a lot of people are going to be really interested in another kind of regular dose of D&D content in kind of a consumable periodical format.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, all we have now at time is reading and being inside, so it works.
There is that. Yep. I'm very curious how many people in chat read a lot of Dragon and Dungeon. I suspect a fair number.
People, some of them are saying, I'm old. old.
Yeah. I remember when we first, after we'd filmed Gamers 2, but before it had come out, we had a cast photo in Dragon Magazine. It was really exciting.
Nice.
Like, I bought 5.
The final kind of bit of new release or new announcement is that Blood Bowl has a new edition coming out. And I think so far they've announced like 3 new teams. There's some sort of like human nobles, there's undead, and there's another orc team or something like that.
Orcs.
And I hear that Emma is really eager to start a whole Blood Bowl league of her own.
I mean, after you described it as chaotic and complicated, I'm not so much down for the complicated aspect of it. I like what it is in my head, which is a minis game that's not about fighting. Like, you're playing a sport and you might fight a little bit during it, but you really have this other thing going on. And yeah, in my imagination with all these teams and just running around, playing it fast and loose, it sounds fun, but it sounds also like the actual implementation is maybe not like that.
Well, everybody I know who's played Blood Bowl loves the fact that it's complicated and random and punishing. Like that is the appeal to them. I think if you like the idea of you're playing a sport and sometimes you punch and you like cute mascots, you should check out Guild Ball, because that's literally what Guild Ball is. Like each team comes with a mascot and stuff like that. But yeah, Blood Bowl is the classic, and a new edition is coming out, and it's supposed to be a little streamlined, I guess, maybe, but we'll see. I still love the idea of all of us having to make our own.
Yeah, when you say streamlined, you don't mean friendly to new players, do you?
I guess we'll find out.
We'll see.
We'll find out as more details come out.
More details. But yes. Now, since we went in and like basically opened the hose upon you with all these new game releases, we're going to go ahead and take a quick serious turn. Last week we spoke a little bit about it, but Emma, go ahead and tell us about more news coming out about the Diana Jones Award.
Yeah, so we did touch on it a little bit last week, but there's been more criticism of the Diana Jones Award for Black Excellence coming out. And I wouldn't say it's just criticism. I wanted to talk about this, and we're going to post the links as well. I would recommend people go and read through some of the stuff because it is very nuanced. And I think this is very important in these times to get senses of, how a conversation can be nuanced. If you go into it and say, oh, well, they supported Black people and now people are mad about it, what can we even do, and throw up your hands, then that's not what we should take away from this. What we should take away is, hey, we did something, we tried something, kind of backfired a little bit. Here's what we learned from it, and now we can be better in the future. So I'm just going to give a little quick context about this. As we talked about last week, the Diana Jones Award, which is a really big award in the community for indie games. And it's an award that really recognizes a lot of stuff, a lot of the best games, and shines a huge spotlight on them. It's very prestigious. This year that it just happened recently, is awarded to, instead of to an individual person, it was awarded to a concept, which has happened before with actual plays. This was awarded to the concept of Black excellence. And as part of this, they reached out to many Black creators and had them submit profiles and talk about what they're working on. And some of the concerns that came out of this were a little bit of a shotgun approach, just kind of reaching out to different people. People got form letters, people were addressed incorrectly. So it all happened very last minute. These people basically had a week to respond. Again, these Black people in the midst of dealing with a lot of stuff that's going on for them right now. So
yep,
a lot of things piled on at the same time.
Lots of stuff indeed.
Yeah. Because it's big to note. Sorry if I don't mean to. It's big to note that it's not the people, POC, Black people. It's not their responsibility to educate you, and if it's all happening concentrated all at once, like people are just tired. Like imagine for your profession or your job or how you live your life, who you are as a person, and suddenly it's blown out, and then all the bad problems that happen to you are out in the open, and then people are like, oh, I need these informations. It's not their job to educate you. There's lots of resources still out there that is in text format that you don't need to contact people. But that's just like my little snippet. Sorry, go ahead, Emma.
So to complicate matters, Chris Spivey is Diana Jones committee member and the author of Harlem Unbound, which is interesting because Chris actually got slighted a little bit on the year that Harlem Unbound came out, because that was the year that the Diana Jones Award was awarded to actual plays, when Harlem Unbound, again, as a Black creator, very few Black creators having been recognized by the award, this was going to be his year to win it. And he didn't because of the actual plays, but then he became part of the committee, and he was actually pro this move because, for example, he said there's no second-class status award. So he's saying that these awards are equal to being an honoree, is the same as being an award winner. He was saying that the process and execution were badly done, so he did acknowledge that, but said that he did push it. It didn't turn out exactly as he was planning, so he put his voice in there, and it's good to see there's different perspectives here. Misha Buyeger had also put a post up here. We have a link to that. Her criticisms were that people were defined, who defined who in the community of Black gaming professionals were selected. They were deemed excellent without input from the community. So this is one of her big complaints. They did so in secrecy without transparency to their decisions. So they weren't really making it clear what was going on. And from her perspective, that this wasn't the same as getting an award, because she had pushed back. And if you read through her writing, there's a lot of really great stuff there. For example, will we be able to use the same logo as other people have used? Part of the winning the award is you can put this award on your stuff and it's very recognizable. And there was pushback on this, like, well, we'll make a different logo for you. So it's separate but equal, right, people? Not great, not a great look. So again, I recommend reading through those links. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of subtleties to it, but takeaway here is, I would say a few takeaways. Don't rush last minute to try and get people to cover your butt, right? You don't want to look racist, and so you put the pressure on other people. Don't do that. Involve Black people in your decisions, multiple Black people, to make sure that things are being done well. And going for, like, I would have loved, I've been talking about this with people, I would have loved if they just awarded the whole slate to all of these Black creators. As I said last week, are incredibly talented. If they just awarded all to Black creators without saying anything, like, these are the awards, and someone might be like, oh, it's all Black people. It's like, oh, I didn't even notice, right? Like, that's the point we want to get to, where it does just happen to be all women or all Black people. It's not made a big deal of it. You know, it's just, oh, we weren't seeing their creations before, and now we're seeing them.
It's been all white dudes, it's been all white or all dudes for long enough. You know, not only do we need to break that up, but we would like to get to a point where we can have
things like this
some other group, just have some other group, and not have that be a noteworthy thing in and of itself. So, like, I think, you know, like, I have a lot of respect for the Diana Jones Awards and what they've done in the past. Like, they're one of the few awards that I've talked about where I really do feel that being nominated is the true honor, and whoever wins is fine. But it's really much more like it's a short list of things that you should be paying attention to, even if that's not normally your kind of game, not normally your creator, your IP, your theme, or whatever. But you should at least be paying attention to the people they nominated and why. And I'm hoping that the Diana Jones Awards will be able to, I know, you want to come up and get that. I'm hoping that the awards will be able to kind of take some time to go into that level of detail and discuss why the people that they selected, like, what fantastic work they've done and why we should all be paying attention to them, and get a little bit more of that, like, meat and value and education into it.
But yes, well, we can go ahead. We have a lot more news to cover. This is just like a snippet. One of these days we will have an in-depth discussion about this, but now we're going to go ahead and move on to Derek. You have some new announcements of a beautiful game that is going on right now.
Yes, so some of you may be familiar with Scythe. It kind of swept a lot of people's attention. It captured a lot of people's imagination. It was a really very cool game that had robots, but resource management and kind of controlling a board. And it had this amazing art by Jakub Rosalski. Yes, Rosalski. My cat is very insistent that she wants to be on stream. So Jakub Rosalski has this amazing art series where he kind of does these Eastern European pastorals, in like a very classic style, and then puts giant robots in them. And that inspired Scythe. And now we're getting an RTS game, a video game, that's set in the same world. That's called 1920 plus, because it's the idea of like that kind of era, you know, post World War I, pre World War II, where you have this just kind of bizarre infusion of a new fantastical technology. So you get some of the old aesthetics, but some of the new effects of industrialization. And it's a really kind of neat spin. And the RTS, like you watch the trailer, if you played the board game, you were like, I know those characters. Like, that's the character you play if you play not Poland. You know, that's the character, those are the troops from not Germany. So it's really kind of neat to see that in action, but they've added a lot more varied units because it needs to be an RTS. So you have robots of different sizes, faster robots, big robots.
All the robots.
You know,
Just look at the trailer.
Emma revealed a deep and abiding love for RTS games that we had no idea about.
Yeah. And there was especially some of these things. I got a lot of video games on my backlog, just like a lot of board games. But this one, the fact RTS, it's saying those magical words of focusing on tactics over clicks. So APMs, action per minute, is always a very big thing in StarCraft. I love StarCraft, but you're hotkeying all over the board, and the micro with each individual unit can be intense and not always super fun. So this idea that you can set up a big strategy, like an overarching plan, and put your things into fruition and build your town and fortify it. That was in the original Warcraft games. That was always my favorite. Okay, I've got 15 layers of walls and catapults and ballistae. No one's coming through here. I'm just gonna hunker down and watch them try. So I'm liking some of the stuff that's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel the same way. In theory, I love RTS games. In practice, I always end up feeling like I'm micromanaging these troops. Like, hey, squad, could you please go behind the cover when someone shoots you, please?
Yeah.
When one of your guys dies, can you go train a replacement, please?
Yeah.
And that doesn't make me feel like a cool general. That makes me feel like a really just a nerd with a nerd with a clipboard going up and down and be like, could you please tuck your shirt in? Could you please come on?
Yeah, it's like, come on, you have the healing thing. Where did you learn triage? Like, this person is literally bleeding out, and this other person
you need to order me to do it. I'm staring at
elbow.
it.
Yeah, just heal the person. That's what you do. Do your job.
Yeah. Well, but yeah. Besides this, all of this whole universe is just based off of a beautiful, beautiful couple. Like this work by Jacob Wazowski. Yes, Wazowski. So
I wanted you just to say Mike Wazowski.
I almost did it. But yeah, so yeah, just check it out. You can see some people. It's announced to be released. So if you're into RTS games, go ahead and check it out and look at the trailer for it. It's very pretty. And then some people have gotten review copies, so you can see how it all works out and if it will work for you. Now, Emma, as our magical expert of the magic order of the magic universe, tell us about the magic.
I really wish I could do some Chandra Fire or something, just some special effects. Where were our special effects? I thought we were supposed to get
Marcus, could you get on some really fancy clip art or something like that?
I just want to make fire.
Fire.
Yeah. So Magic the Gathering announcing new boosters aimed to make opening packs more fun. It seems mostly focused on the physical. I guess there will be an arena as well, but I'll get to that in just a second. So I saw this news. Honestly, I love that they're trying new things, but it's hard for me not to be a little bit of a Luddite here and say, okay, it's just, if you watch any long-time grizzled, just sad Magic player, what's the word where you just seen it all and you
I'm too old for
grizzled
this.
Veteran.
Yeah, if you're just the grizzled veteran opening your packs, because I open packs with my friends and it's almost okay, rare, throw the rest in the trash, at a certain point, or not, you're doing a draft or a sealed or whatever. You say okay, this is the thing, or you're opening packs with your friends. Or what's your rare? What's your rare? I'm I just want to look through this and see what's going on here. Give me a second. But people are so fixated on those rares. So I guess maybe this new pack is aimed to switch that up a little bit and re-excite us about the pack opening process, because a lot of us haven't been super excited about opening packs for a long time. And some of the stuff they're doing is cool. So there's this idea of adding a story element to it. Each card is connected to the card behind it, so the order really does matter. Emphasizing that is kind of cool. Switching up positions of stuff in the pack. There being a really cool art card in there. Adding in some extra cards from this special list that they have of interesting cards through history. So it seems like they're adding some stuff in there. I think it's cool that they're trying stuff. This might end up being the way that they do boosters from now on. Right now, they're just adding this on as another type, in addition to your typical draft boosters that you have, your theme boosters, collectors boosters. This is going to be another
boosters.
Type. Yeah.
Booster boosters, booster seats.
The booster boost.
Yeah. I guess I
Oh,
will.
Mr. Gold.
I will let it remain to be seen what the opening is like. Also, for Arena, again, I've just opened. I do so much draft. They just give you the packs. I've opened it, and now even more than ever, I've gotten a little bit just used to it. It's gotten a little bit boring, and they just show you all the cards too. For Arena, you don't go card at a time. Just they explode the pack, and here's all your cards. So I'd be interested to see exactly how they capture it. I do like they're trying new things. I don't know if it's really going to make that much of a difference, but I'm willing to wait and see, how it goes.
I don't know why, but I thought of this something really, really funny. I know it's totally off topic, but like,
That's
what
great.
if it's like a surprise, like glitter packet surprise?
Surprise
That's
glitter
exciting.
packet. Oh my gosh. That would
Let's
be
not
sorry.
give let's not give Wizards any ideas. Although I have to say, like Emma, when you were talking about the grizzled veterans of Magic,
Yeah.
I suddenly feel like somebody needs to do a cover or a parody of the classic Blue Oyster Cult song, so we can have a veteran of 1,000 Magic Wars, and you can just sing about what you've been through.
Yeah. Old and grizzled.
Tapped out my mana in Pittsburgh.
Oh
So
my
that's
goodness.
magic.
Well, now that we do have those smiles on our faces, unfortunately, we have to go ahead and turn those smiles upside down because we have some sad news. Derek, I'm so sorry. Did I not do that right? I was.
No, there's a special bonsai je ne sais quoi about how you transition topics, and it touches us deeply on the inside of our hearts.
Lovely. We love it.
So it is sad news.
Yeah.
John Zinzer, which some of you may know as the CEO of AEG,
A good dude.
who has produced many, many games that I'm sure many of you have played, is unfortunately in the hospital or on sick leave now. Last week on July 30th, he was taken to the hospital. A CT scan revealed a mass in his brain. There was surgery to remove that, and he's recovering from that now. They haven't released a whole lot more details, other than to say that Ryan Dancy will be taking over direct management of AEG in the interim with kind of the existing leadership team. So they'll continue kind of steering the ship as best they can, and I'm sure they'll be able to handle it through this. But we wanted to share that news so that people can at least have John in their thoughts. The family has asked for privacy, so you probably don't want to reach out to them directly. You don't want to tweet at them or anything like that. But if you do want to share any condolences or sympathies for what John is going through, you should send those to AEG so that AEG can collect them and pass them on to the family when it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it's a very, very prominent member of the industry who is going through some tough times right now. So just have them in your thoughts. Maybe be a little bit patient with what AEG is going to be going through over the next several months. Yep. And if you've really enjoyed any games that John has, had a hand in bringing into the world, then maybe send a message to AEG to thank him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He filmed Gamers 3 with us when we were doing it at Gen Con, and AEG is the one who put out the game for that we did for that movie. And, yeah, he's just such a good guy. Made sure that we had everything, made sure we could answer all the questions. He's took the time to train us on how to play it. Just what a cool dude.
Yeah. So
keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep that in mind. And like I said, like we said before, the family asked for privacy, everything directed towards AEG. But yes. So, weird segue again. It is time for Bundle Buzz with Christian.
You just jumped right in from the sad news into the song. That's good.
I'm sorry.
I'm feeling this week. It's okay, Bonsai. You're still the best. This week, Bundle of Holding is putting out some bundles, as you can probably imagine. The first is the Space 1889 Odysseys bundle, which includes the main book for Space 1889. If you're not familiar with this game, it is early 2000s. It's set in a very what's the word, like John Carter from Mars kind of thing going on, where space is not the traditional sci-fi that we're used to today, nor even the sci-fi of days gone by and the days of Flash Gordon, but like the idea of what space was to people back in the 19th century. This bundle includes several of the main books, and a whole bunch of adventures. And if you want to upgrade, you get everything, just like you normally do. It obviously goes to a wonderful cause. The second one is the Clockwork Collection from Bundle of Holding, also with the Space 1889 game, including their Mars sourcebook, their Mercury sourcebook, 7 adventures, and yeah, it's got a bunch of good stuff. And if you're into this kind of genre fiction to begin with, this is an interesting way that they have gone about making them accessible, I guess. It's, you know, they're I'm having trouble grabbing a hold of my words today. They make it it's not my favorite game, but it has a lot of really good ideas in it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's what
you like the concept.
I was trying to sugarcoat it. I really was.
That's good. That's good to know.
Well, I think good. Like, to be honest,
it's okay to have preferences.
That's the thing that happens to anybody I find who ends up collecting a lot of RPGs, ends up kind of having that attitude of like being prepared to mine or carve up almost any RPG they come across, to take the parts that really just seem awesome to them and use them wherever they seem to be a good fit. Like, that's the thing that I've been trying to tell a lot of people lately when they look at playing different games, you know, like maybe you've just played D&D or something like that. Like the best thing that you can do to improve how you play or run D&D, honestly, aside from just doing it more, is playing a different game for a little bit. You don't have to love it. You don't have to play it forever. It doesn't have to replace D&D. You know, whatever game can be your favorite. But if you just take a detour every now and then, you're almost guaranteed to find something cool that you'll bring back with you sometimes to the game that you really love.
And this has some really fun ideas, especially if you're into that whole, if you like the John Carter of Mars kind of setting. I know I do. I was just looking for something different in that type of game. This didn't sell it to me. And, you know, it's for those of you in chat. You're right. Way to sell it. You're right. But here's the thing. I'm not here to sell these to you. I'm just here to tell you about them. And if I don't like them, I'm going to let you know every time.
And both of those bundles benefit Direct Relief, which is, you know, getting more PPEs, more protective equipment out to people on the front lines of COVID right now. So it's a good cause.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And now, from that, it is time for the Kickstarter. Derek.
You went too high there.
Yeah, I do love it when your noise cancellation is like, nope, Bonsai. Let's tone this down. You're up here.
No soprano.
Down here.
You gotta go down.
I gotta do the rock version.
No, you went too low there. You gotta hit it right in the middle.
Dang it! Was it muted me again? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
There's a very serious like Goldilocks thing going on here, where it's like, no, that's too high. No, that's too low. So, Christian, you have the first Kickstarter project for us. What would you like to tell us about?
All right, so this looks like a lot of fun. It's called With a Smile and a Gun. It is a dice drafting game for 2 players, so it's a nice one-on-one kind of fun. It's got 6 days left. You play rival mob bosses in a fantastical noir prohibition era. And when they say fantastical, I wasn't sure what that meant, because it's like, hey, we're mob guys and we're trying to, you know, outwit each other and kill each other and take each other's business. But they also have magic potions. And that's what makes it fantastical.
Okay.
It's the dice drafting game, which I always find to be, they go nice and quick. There's not a lot to think about, but there's a lot of ways you can do stuff. So this looked like a lot of fun, and I decided that I was going to say, yes, I like this Kickstarter. Also, it's got mob stuff, which, you know, I like the Untouchables.
The idea of taking Prohibition and applying it to potions instead of alcohol does make for like a very interesting.
I'd watch that movie.
One axis twist.
Yeah, I like that.
That's all you need. That's all you need to make something old new again, though. And I thought that was I would read that story even if I, I don't need that mechanic in my game to make it interesting to me. I just thought this was like some nice flavor.
Yeah.
Yep.
It worked for me. So then again, that has 6 days left. Check it out. Also, I like the black and white aesthetic. It's got that very noir aesthetic to it on the box art and the table.
Sweet. You also have the next Kickstarter that we're going to talk about.
I'm totally into the
Back to
Kickstarter
back
this week. I know, back to back Kickstarter, man. If I didn't sell the bundle enough to you, you're going to like the Kickstarters at least, right? So with 6 days left, Kleos by Azure Horizon Games it's a tactical hex-based combat game where you get to play Greek gods. Do I need to say any more? Like, that hits all my buttons.
But is it set in Santorini?
No, it's set in New York, Santorini. Santorini, my favorite Sublime song. So this game, you get to play a Greek Olympian god. You summon your champions. It looks like fun. I like games that look like fun to me. I like Greek stuff. You know, my wife was a major in Greek studies, so we had that in common. And we've always tried to apply it to as many games as possible anyway. And this, looks like a great example of that. Plus, box art looks neat, like a real, fresco painting. It's very cool.
I think I still have the copy of Greek myths that I stole from a library when I was like 7 or something. And I've carried it around with me since then.
Derek,
public property.
Shame.
They may have been giving it away. One of those two. Unclear. Or I just kept onto it until they went out of business.
Right. We never steal books from the library on purpose.
Yeah, see?
Derek robs the library.
Robs.
Yeah, that'll be a headline next week. But like, it looks like it's asymmetry was one of the keywords they put in there, and that always perks up my interest. So maybe if you back it, we can get a game in sometime.
Okay.
All right, Bonsai.
But yes.
What have you got for us?
What I got, for Sherlock's Mystery Interactive Puzzle Adventure. It's has 6 days left, Thursday, August 13th. So, do you like Sherlock Holmes and also like a bunch of puzzles that go around that mystery theme?
My name is Doyle. Of course, I like Sherlock Holmes.
Well, do I got the game for you. So this is a super complex, incredible, like almost like bring more of those like games that bring the escape room feel to your house or onto your table. This has like 10 different riddles, puzzles, and like mysteries that you have to solve via Sherlock Holmes-esque. So each mystery is designed to take about 1 to 2 hours to complete alone or in groups. There's 2 styles of play. So there's one including a journal edition that's so it's none of the physical copies. It's not physical copy, or you can get written copy book format that also has a app that you can use if you want to save on paper. So you can just read that through the app. And the other edition actually has you get these packets and builds that you have to solve and get through. So it is actually quite it's pretty modest, priced pretty modestly. It is for everything, with everything that you get, but it's just for who likes puzzles, who likes Sherlock, and it's kind of like a mini LARP on the table. So if that's your kind of game, Sherlock Mysteries Interactive Puzzle Adventure, 6 days left.
Yeah, I like looking at the pictures and the videos here. The selling point is really that case. I think it's important to note you don't get the case until like the $270 one, the attaché level. Getting all of that stuff in the picture, you'd think, oh, that's just a part of the advertising. But if you back at a high enough level, you get all that stuff. So and people are about evenly split between that level and the $40 just the book level. So that's a real big, interesting selling point for this.
Mm-hmm. But it's just a lot. You think it's just display, but it's a lot. But if you don't have room or the money to get everything, like the big puzzle box, I like that they have the journal edition for those who need to go ahead and still want to have that and app. So save the trees sometimes. Gotta save them.
Yeah. So up next we have Gianchi, Blood in the Banquet Hall. 6 days left, ending Thursday, August 13th. I am so excited to talk about this one. I was lucky enough to have Banana Chan, one of the creators, on the Ludology podcast a couple of weeks ago. And this game in particular just looks so unique and interesting.
I love the concept.
Yeah, the concept is super cool. So it's an RPG where you play as Chinese immigrants running the family restaurant by day and dealing with the hauntings of the Gianchi by night. And in case you don't know what the Gianchi are, it's hard to explain quickly, but it's basically
they're hopping vampires. They can't hop over rice.
Hopping vampires with zombie elements to them. So yeah,
they have to have their arms straight out in front of them.
Yeah, just look up some videos or pictures. Just
draw crooked lines. They can't get you if you draw crooked lines.
My favorite one of those movies is Mr. Vampire. Check that one out. It's good.
Yeah. And I do want to point out, we say it's unique and interesting from a Western perspective because we haven't consumed as much of this. But that's what I love about this is it's bringing something to our attention. Yep. It's very well known in other parts of the world that here in the U.S. we might not know as well.
Well, this is exactly what we have repeatedly talked about that we love Kickstarter for. This is a game primarily I believe the entire core team is of Asian descent. And this game is focused on the Asian American immigrant experience with an extended team of more perspectives on this. This is exactly the kind of thing that we want Kickstarter to be there for, because this might be a hard sell for a traditional publisher. But we want to see something that's new to us, just a different perspective expressed in games, so that we can explore things that are new to us as players.
Yeah, and it's cool because it has horror elements to it, and it's very culturally relevant right now because they fight vampires during the night and racism by day. So it's really looking at historical perspective as well. So despite societal backlash and anti-Chinese laws, these characters in this game have turned a profit. Their quality of life is improved. So there's all these interesting historical contexts and, playing as characters that you might not have as much of a connection with. I think with a lot of role-playing games, a lot of people kind of gravitate to things they see in themselves. But for this one in particular, it includes advice on how to role-play a Chinese character, and it also includes a sample from the chapter of safety tools. So it's putting you in the situation where you can, hopefully learn from the experiences and put yourself in the shoes of people unlike yourselves, which I think is very powerful. That has 6 days left, ending Thursday, August 13th.
I forgive you for stealing that from me, by the way.
and also from me.
Yeah, I was like, everyone's going to be excited.
I think everybody wanted that one because that's my favorite one of all of them this week.
Oh yeah, and we did talk about backing. I'm gonna end up backing this one. The only thing that's a barrier for me right now, as we talked about, is my role-playing game Wall of Shame, which has multiple books I haven't read yet. Although my Wall of Shame is this big.
That's a cubby of shame. That's a cubby of shame.
I have a cubby of shame, right? Yeah.
Derek and I have walls, plural, of shame.
Yeah, Derek, all those
warehouses of shame
in the shelves behind you. You've read all those, right?
I have looked at the words on the inside of yes, absolutely.
The only reason I don't have more of these is because I rent and have had to leave things behind in the past.
Yeah, otherwise I would have every World of Darkness book, and it would be that would be a different kind of wall of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about Gianchi. Just even mechanically, it sounds interesting because it's a story game. It's an RPG, but with a very, very structured setup of only a few days, a day and a night cycle. You do tasks during the day. You kind of build a tableau on your character sheet of what you've accomplished or the nightmares you're having that hint at the monsters that are going to come attack you the next day. A lot of neat stuff going on there.
Spirit paper can be used to freeze the Gianchi. If a meaningful phrase can be written on it in 10 seconds of real time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. They have the best weaknesses and the worst powers of any vampire.
Nice.
But they're also super stupid powerful.
Yeah, just a lot of just coming from my background, a lot of Asian ghost and monsters. They you can move away, but you're cursed. You're just you just die.
you're done.
I'm sorry, but the Chinese have the best monsters, and they always have. They have the most hells and the best monsters.
See, now I feel like you're talking about some sort of wrestling arena where each culture like sends their monsters to go wrestle.
That would actually be a really cool
And China
show.
has just dominated like forever.
Hold on, I'm now designing my next game.
Love it.
That's mine. Everybody heard it, right? That was my idea.
Yeah, your idea.
Yeah.
There you go. Get it. Get your money.
Listen to me anyway. I'm a middle-aged white man. All right.
Speaking of Christian,
Hey, that's
you have
right.
our next project.
I've got another Kickstarter to do. So the next Kickstarter to do with, let's see, how many days left on that guy? I'm not even looking at the thing now.
You have 7 days left on
7
on this
days
project.
left. Closes Friday, August 14th. The Deck of Many Things reprint. So the reason that I picked this one is because it's the Deck of Many Things, and I like artifacts to begin with. And this particular artifact of an artifact is the thing that has ruined more of my D&D games than any bad player. This is the worst item in all of Dungeons and Dragons for keeping a game going, and I just love it more than anything.
Wait, so are you going to back this just so that when you're like, look, I'm bored of this campaign, I can't
really
admit that to my players, I'm just going to take out the physical deck and put it on the table.
This is the nuke. You let them tear themselves apart with this.
I love it.
The artwork is gorgeous. First of all, it's just beautiful. It tells you what all of the things do, all of your environmental commitments. The booklet's says what all the different cards do. It's just great. It's just great. It's nostalgia, and I can kill any campaign with it. Any campaign. Well, if
So it can be used as a weapon. That's what you're saying.
it is a weapon.
It is a weapon.
It's how
Mental weapon.
It's how you stop having being friends with the people you game with.
Mm-hmm.
While on the topic of friends, the next project has 9 days left, ending Sunday, August 16th, and it is Inspirals. And this is a little bit of a borderline project for us because we were trying to decide what we wanted to cover this week. And Inspirals is a very like unpolished Kickstarter project. The art, is not. It's not up to, I think, what some people have come to expect from Kickstarter, which is like, ready to be put on a game store shelf kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a certain amount of like earnesty and wholesomeness, I guess, in the art.
Yeah.
And the project as a whole, it sounds like it's building an RPG that supports a lot of things that we've talked about, particularly when we've had Hawk Robinson and RPG Research and RPG Therapy on about like this. Inspirals is a RPG that is specifically designed for teens, that is supposed to teach them life skills, cooperation, how to deal with each other, how to handle emotions and stuff like that. With the further added bonus that it wants to increase deaf awareness and teach some sign language as well. And the way that it's doing that is, I believe that you cast spells by having to sign them.
Yes.
So you have to learn at least some basic sign language to cast spells effectively. So like all of these are things that we all really value, someone going out and making a game. So we kind of wanted to highlight that, acknowledge that wanting to accomplish those goals isn't enough to make a project worth backing, but this is the kind of thing that we want to see more people do, and we wanted to kind of expose the project to folks so that people who want to help them kind of get off the ground and do that first launch, so that maybe Inspirals can grow into something bigger that might have a more mass market appeal, have a chance to kind of help in the very beginning, because if this does work, if this does come together like the creators want it to, it'll be a very, very cool project that helps a lot of the people we want to get into RPGs.
Yeah.
Plus it looks like a fun game.
It does. It looks. I think my only comment about this game is that it's already very hard for somebody trying to learn ASL or American Sign Language. They're trying to do 2 different sign languages, and if you're into sign language, the alphabets are completely different. Signing meanings are completely different. It is another language that you have to learn, and trying it seems a little bit, for me, a little confusing to try to teach 2. at once versus just focusing on either British Sign Language or American Sign Language. So that's my only comment, is that it would get kind of confusing.
You could probably switch them. The alphabet, you just use the ASL alphabet instead of the BSL alphabet.
You could. I mean, like
that way you can do everything one-handed instead of two-handed, because that's really the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's also possible that they're using them for different types of magic or something like that too. So like it's just really
we love it.
Yeah, like it's the kind of thing that we would love to see.
More shininess
we would love to see them have a chance to polish it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if those are the kind of things that you value in a game, then maybe consider giving it some support. Again, like this is also part of what Kickstarter is for, is to help creators get that momentum rolling. And then our final project this week, with 10 days left, is the wonderfully named Petrichor Collector's Edition. Emma, do we need to take a moment for everyone to share what they think the word Petrichor means?
Yes, thank you. I was just going to say that, that we should have people in the chat before we just... When you hear the word Petrichor, and you can see it here posted in chat, what does that inspire in your brain? What do you think that is? Because I had a very different thought about it than what it actually means.
Yep, me too.
I think I had the benefit of, I think I saw the cover of the game with the name attached to it before I heard of the name.
Petrichor, petroleum, thank you.
Is it the inside of a gerbil?
There.
No. Incorrect. Bonsai, do you have a guess?
My guess was that it was like somebody who really, really loved their pet and just made a hardcore journal about like how much they loved their pet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have hardcore journaling game, oil magnate, and hedgehog anatomy or gerbil anatomy.
Yeah.
Insides of it, just the ichor, if you will.
The
it
ichor.
also could be about
pet
a
ichor. Got it.
a dinosaur, a petrichor, a dinosaur band.
Yeah.
Bunch of
I had it was a punk rock band that was fronted by a fish, but then I was thinking that's tetrachor and not petrichor.
Sure. Although I do have to say that Bonsai's idea that it is a bunch of pteranodons that have formed a hardcore band is also very amusing. But no,
probably all play bass too.
Yeah. No, petrichor is the smell after a rain in a particularly dry or dusty region.
Which is lovely.
Yeah.
I think if I knew that just from the name, because I judge games a lot by the names. It's not always great, but if they're
whatever gets you through.
Yeah. If I knew that from the name, I'd be more interested in this game, because I originally wrote it off because I was just like, I don't know, it's not seeming like a game that I would enjoy. But then learning what the word actually means, I'm like, oh no, that does sound a little more interesting.
Well, think of it this way: the game taught you something even before you played it.
That's true. It is true.
So
Probably
a couple
bragged
things.
about it though.
Yeah. The funny thing to me is that I think that name and the emotional roller coaster you just went through is actually really apt for the experience of the game. Because I played a little bit of it at a PAX a couple of years ago when a lot of games were being demoed. It was like new stuff coming out from Essen that year and stuff like that. And it was this weird experience where the theme is, in Petrichor, you play a cloud who is floating over, and you're trying to rain on the plants to generate the most crops, basically. And it's the theme is very calm and soothing and floaty and nice. And you think, and then like the little components, you have these little clouds that you construct out of cardboard, and you put little droplets in it and stuff like that. It's very cute. And you think this is going to be a calm, relaxing, non-complicated game. And then you look at the tiles, and there's like 12 numbers on every tile and stuff like that. And there's like 4 seasons, and there's you go through multiple years, and like the complication just ramps up real fast. So you have this really weird disconnect between the theme and the actions. But unlike a lot of other games where the entirety of the game I felt like I had no idea what I was doing, Petrichor didn't feel stressful in that way. It was this weird combination of like, it's so complicated, you're just like, okay, I'll give up and drift along like the cloud I am, and I'll rain every now and then. Yeah. So it was a really neat mix. And I think that anybody who really likes Euro games, who really likes kind of judging and balancing a lot of those elements and wants a very different theme, then you should definitely check out Petrichor. And this Kickstarter is for the deluxe version. So there's a couple expansions that you can get as part of the Kickstarter, including
color.
Yes, there is color. Not only that, but you can get like the cow expansion now. So if you want to add manure and cow farts to your Petrichor game, you can. I'm sorry, cow burps. That's right. It's not the farts that are the problem; it's the burps.
Right.
But it also has, like, instead of making these little cardboard cloud trays, you have these little plastic cloud standees that you move around. Like, it's very cute. The deluxe, the super deluxe, you get everything version is $100. If you like Euro games, really check it out.
Cool.
I don't know why, but that whole explanation, I was like, God bless the rains down in Africa. For some reason, I'm sorry, I had to think.
All I could think about was Winnie the Pooh pretending to be a little black rain cloud the whole time.
Oh,
this has been a very.
I would play it.
This has been a very musical episode of TableTakes, I have to say.
Yes, and then with that has been TableTakes, everyone. It is we have just basically gone through everything that we can. But keep in mind that we are not just TableTakes here on Gen Con TV. There's a whole slew of shows that you can watch. All of these times are, of course, Pacific Standard Time. So Mondays, we got 6 p.m. with board games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesdays at 1:30, we have This Game Gets Dicey. Followed by right after at 4 p.m. With Fireside with Peter Atkinson. On Friday, of course, you have us, 2 p.m. TableTakes, where you can get all of your tabletop or related news and all of the gossip, the drama, the new game releases, all that kind of good stuff. Remember, friends, to like and to follow and to subscribe and click that heart and all the kind of various different things that you can do. If you missed
There's a
our
button.
live,
click that button.
Just click the button. All the buttons. All the buttons. But yeah, if you guys like us, and if you miss our live shows, we do have the videos on YouTube 24 hours later, and a bunch of things and resources that you can peruse because we're Gen Con TV. And I would like to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Emma, Christian, Derek, for being, of course, so awesome and hanging out with us. And we see you all next week, or even sooner on Monday.
Sounds good.